While fans and analysts debate the Buckeyes' playoff chances, one thing is clear: Ryan Day isn't going anywhere.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we'll discuss an offensive lineman in the portal that is making a visit to Ohio State today, as well as if Ryan Day controls his own destiny. But before we get to any of that, regardless of what Ohio State does in the playoff this year, Ross Bjork has a full vote of confidence in Ryan Day, and Day will be the head coach of the Buckeyes in 2025. Now, I know I said it's a Feel Good Friday at the top of the show, and some of you may have heard that news, and it didn't make you feel good. Some of you may be fans out there that are out there saying, well, if Ryan Day goes 1-0 in the playoff, he's out of here. If Ryan Day doesn't make it to the Final Four, he's up out of here. If Ryan Day doesn't win a national championship this year, he's up out of here. And I know there are fans listening to this show or watching it right now that fall into that camp. But Ross Bjork, his boss, has a full vote of confidence, and he is one that is speaking in absolutes, and he's doubling down on something he said after the Michigan loss. And regardless of what you think about Ryan Day, that's the kind of boss you want. You want a boss that says, no matter what is happening right now, no matter what the Boo Birds are saying, no matter what, I am analyzing you as a head coach. I am analyzing the things you have done, not just this year, but during your 6-year tenure as head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and currently right now has a full vote of confidence in Ryan Day, and that's the kind of boss Ryan Day wants to work for. That's the kind of boss people want to have, is one that believes in them. But Ryan Day got to do something, man. I'm not sitting here saying Ryan Day has a full vote of confidence from me. I mean, trust me, you have heard me earlier this week. Myself and Jason Fitz of Yahoo Sports came on the show, and we kind of discussed our concerns and some of the hesitations that we have with Ryan Day coaching in big-time games. What's going to happen on December 21st in prime time? It's a big-time game. I know it's a playoff game. I know there will be a mix of Ohio State running the show and the playoff running the show. However, whichever way you want to put it, it's a big-time game. And sometimes Ryan Day in big-time games, you don't get the Ryan Day you always want. However, Ryan Day can do some great things with the confidence that his boss has. Use it. Allow that to fuel him to do bigger and better things next year and further. Now, Ross Bjork didn't say anything about 2026 at all. It was the question of the conversation was focused on 2025, and it was regardless of what happens in the CFP. Ohio State could literally lose to Tennessee, and Ross Bjork's not going to fire Ryan Day. Now, Ryan Day does have a $37 million buyout, and I do believe that is factoring into the decision to keep Ryan Day. So I think there's a lot of things Ryan Day has done well. He's 66-10. He's won 2 Big Ten titles. He's been to the playoff 3 times in 4 years. And one thing I noted about Ryan Day, he's never missed the playoff 2 years in a row. Made it in 19, made it in 20, missed it in 21, went back in 22. Missed it in 23, went back in 24. I think that is another big reason why Ross Bjork has the full vote of confidence in Ryan Day. Because there's a lot of coaches out there, Lane Kiffin, there's a lot of coaches out there that can't say that don't have that on their resume. There are a lot of coaches, Dabo Swinney, that can't say that in the past 6 years they've made the playoff 3 times in 4 years, or they never missed it 2 years in a row. A lot of coaches out there can't say that. There's a lot of good things Ryan Day has done. And you know that I'm a little bit down on Ryan Day now. I was down on Ryan Day a year ago, especially after the Cotton Bowl, which I'm not going to dodge because it is on his resume. But something has to change with Ryan Day. It is not just regarding the losses to Michigan. Right now, the way the team is constructed on offense and on defense, heavy impact with the safeties, with the secondary, with the corners. Instead of putting the emphasis on the defensive line, it's a safety-driven defense. Now, that's what Jim Knowles wants, But also in actuality, I think sometimes the guys up front aren't making the impact that is needed from an elite defensive line, which is what Ohio State should have. I am going to echo something that Urban Meyer said about every player and every coach that he coaches or that he worked with. If he hired you, he wanted you to pursue being the best position coach at your position. If you're Heartline, best receiver coach in the country. If you're Tony Alford or now Carlos Loughlin, best running back coach in the country. And he wants you to take that mindset and pursue being the best at your position group, coaching that thing in the entire country. If you're a running back, if you're a JT Barrett or a J.K. Dobbins or fill in the blank player, one of the Bosas, Sam Hubbard, whoever it is, he wants you to be the best at your position, at your role in the entire country. And I think that's what's missing at Ohio State. And it's under Ryan Day. No matter if Ross Bjork believes in Ryan Day or not, there are guys out there that I don't know if they have the mindset of pursuing being the best at your position. Now, maybe they do, and they just don't put it out there on the field because they can't. I don't know. But I do believe there is something out there that people aren't working to be the best in the country at their position. Do I think Will Howard is working to be the best quarterback in the country? Maybe. We also know that that's not going to be a reality of him and to have a player that he is. Will Howard's done a lot of great things this year. I think there's limitations to him that sometimes hinder the offense. Now, Jeremiah Smith wants to be the best in the country. I think Emeka Buka. Literally, if Emeka Buka was not behind Jeremiah Smith, he would probably be the best number one receiver in the country. There's a lot of good receivers out there, but Emeka Buka, man, smooth operator, baby. That dude just gets it done. There are guys on Caleb Downs, best safety in the country. Lathan Ransom. If it weren't for Caleb Downs, he'd be right there in the conversation for being one of the best safeties in the country. But when it comes to the O-line, the D-line, some of the other very important positions, I don't know if the players have the mindset of being the best at their position in the country. Is that a reflection of Ryan Day? I think so. But even though that's true, Ryan Day's done a lot of winning. Now, the sad part about Ryan Day's resume, with there only being 10 losses, we can look out there and say what the 10 losses are. I don't want to run through them. PTSD might kick in, being a little sarcastic there. But I don't want to run through those losses, man. But those losses are real. But Ryan Day's found ways to tweak things last year heading into this year. He tweaked things in the middle of the season. He's tweaking things right now. Some of the tweaks are positive. Some of the things are negative. But Ryan Day's not afraid to try to tweak things and try to alter things, try to fix things. But sometimes when you're tweaking things, some things need to be tweaked, some things don't. And that's where danger sets in. Because sometimes people try to tweak stuff that doesn't need to be messed with, and it leads to disaster. At the same time, there are things that need to be tweaked with the defense in the middle of the year, and it leads to a very successful run by the Buckeyes defense. Ross Bjork believes in Ryan Day and says Day will be the head coach of the Buckeyes in 2025, regardless of what happens this year in the CFP. I know some of y'all didn't want that news today, and it may have changed your mood. But hey, y'all, it's a Feel Good Friday. We're going to begin to get happier and be getting more of the feeling good flavor on the show as we discuss if Ryan Day controls his own destiny. That's coming up after the break. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks still has amazing feature that Game Time provides to help you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Some of those features are being able to get all-in pricing, to see a panoramic view from your seat. They got that lowest price guarantee, and they still have the Game Time ticket coverage. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Now, with Ross Bjork putting out a vote of confidence in Ryan Day that may make people happy, that may make people sad. But there's one thing Ryan Day can do to control his own destiny. It's win. Win, 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 win. We all love expert analysis, and sometimes the expert analysis hits you very, very hard and it's deep. Sometimes analysis is very, very simple, just like this. Ryan Day does control his own destiny. It's easier said than done, though. One thing we know about college football is coaching is harder now than it's ever been. From recruiting at the high school level, multiple classes at the same time, to recruiting guys in the portal, to having to deal with boosters, to NIL, to now potentially having more scholarship athletes, to players potentially getting paid from the school. There's so many different things that are pulling Ryan Day to the right and to the left at the same time. Some say go forward, some say go back. There's a lot of things going on in Ryan Day's mind. Coaching in college football is very, very hard. While coaching in college football is very, very hard, every coach has one goal. It's win. No matter if you're at Ohio State, or if you're Rich Rod going back to West Virginia, or if you're Bill Belichick going to North Carolina, every coach has one goal, and it's win. And you must figure out how to win regardless of anything else going on. The NIL, the recruiting, the portal, signing day, whatever it is, you got to figure out how to win while doing all of these other things. And Ryan Day's figured out how to win at such a high rate. He's won 87% of his games. The issue is Ryan Day has lost to one team 4 times in a row, and that's the one team you can't lose to. People kind of excuse the loss to Alabama in the 2020 national championship game. People kind of look over and gloss over the loss to Georgia. People, hey, you won the Rose Bowl. Regardless of situations, you won the Rose Bowl. You broke records. Great. Hey, you beat Clemson in 2020, kind of a bounce back. You did some good things. People look at those things and say, great, Ryan Day's done a lot of winning, and he's won some big games. While Ryan Day might not be the coach that some say he should be right now, Ryan Day can be a coach that learns from his mistakes, that figures things out, that figures out, hey, that coach right there is not getting it done. Cut him off a little bit sooner than maybe he used to earlier in his head coaching career. There's a lot of things Ryan Day is learning. And as Ryan Day continues to learn, as the program continues to evolve, as Ross Bjork continues to work with Ryan Day, and Ross Bjork even said, like, him and Ryan Day have a great relationship. They work very, very well together. Talk about how Ryan Day is innovative. Talked about how Ryan Day isn't afraid to tweak things. Like, he spoke very highly of Ryan Day, and I love that. I also would love for Ryan Day to just win more. Now, is he saying stupid high at Ohio State? Absolutely. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that natty or bust going into the year, that wasn't spewed from me. It came from the players at Ohio State saying natty or bust. That's a very lofty standard they're setting for themselves. Denzel Burke said, we got to win them all. Talking about the games that the Buckeyes are playing this year. That's a very lofty, high standard that the Buckeyes were putting in front of them for this year. There's a lot of pressure with that too. Sometimes you may fold under pressure. You may crack it. You may not be meant for the moment. There's also times you may figure out how to rise to the occasion and to do things that you didn't think you were able to do on that stage. And while Ryan Day on some stages has struggled at times, he's actually been very successful on some of the biggest stages in the sport, which is why going forward, Ryan Day does control his own destiny. Win. Figure out how to win. Now, yesterday we talked about Ohio State's 2025 schedule. Ryan Day will be leading the campaign next year, and Ryan Day is going to be leading a team at the floor is probably going to be 9-3. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be 9-3, but that's their floor. If your floor is 9-3, that says a lot about the talent on your team. It says a lot about you as a coach. Now, realistically, Ohio State has a legitimate shot to go undefeated. There are 2 games right now that I am not ready to sit down and pencil in and say Ohio State's definitely going to win those games. The Texas game week 1 and the Michigan game the last week of the regular season. Those are the 2 games I'm not ready to sit here and say I'm going to pencil in or even put it in pen that Ohio State's going to win those games. So if those are the only 2 games, floor is 10-2, that's a good place to be. Now, what does Ohio State need to do to beat Texas and to beat Michigan? Some of it is with the portal. We'll talk about a guy here in a second that I think Ohio State needs to kind of bring the house for. Just like we said, Dylan Finneman, need to bring the house for him, need to bring the house for this other guy. We're going to talk about him later on. But also, not only that with the portal, some of the stuff is psychological. And I've been saying it all year, and I was very, very confident leading into the game that Ohio State was going to win it. But I was not shying away from the fact that Michigan may have had a psychological advantage over Ohio State. A mental block, if you may want to call it. An obstacle that mentally the Buckeyes weren't able to get over. And we saw in that game, if you saw the body language told everybody and their mama that the Buckeyes were not able to get over that mental obstacle during that game. More talented team, still couldn't figure it out. And I've been around, we've all seen some teams that are very, very talented, and for some reason on a particular day, they weren't able to get it done. I don't know exactly what the reason is for that. However, we just weren't able to get it done. Basketball, football, baseball, we've all seen it. And on that particular day, the Buckeyes weren't able to get over that mental block. And so I think week number 1 may be a talent thing. Who's a more talented team? The last game of the regular season, is Ohio State mentally able to get over that hurdle? Now you're going to have a new quarterback, going to have some new leaders, going to have some new captains. You should be able to. You should be able to get over that mental hurdle. Go to the big house and win that thing. And this is one of those things for Ryan Day. He must do a better job of getting his team prepared to play. Too many times, Ryan Day's teams, even in wins, show up and they're not ready to play. And I don't know why. I literally don't know why. Does a coach need to make sure his team is ready to play? Yes. But also you as a player, as a competitor, you shouldn't need your coach to hype you up before playing a game. Is this Little League? No, it's the big boy college football. You're at The Ohio State University. You should not need your coach to hype you up. But sometimes I think the Buckeyes players need their coach to hype them up, get them prepared to play. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. It just is one of those things that we're trying to figure out, why is this happening? That's the past. Like all the things we talk about with Ryan Day, 66-10, 87% winning percentage, like all of those things are in the past. What's in the future, what's in the present, is Ryan Day working to get better. And that's why for numerous reasons, Ryan Day controls his own destiny, but this in Ryan Day's court. The ball's in his court. He's serving. He can figure things out. He can figure out what the team needs to do. And I want to be on here on a Friday. It's Friday the 13th. We know how spooky those things might be. I got a basketball game to cover tonight, and that game might be spooky. It's a rivalry game. It's a school that I frequent quite a bit, and the people there are great. They're phenomenal people there at that school. But, man, it's Friday the 13th. Things might get a little spooky. I'm not going to shy away from what might happen or might not happen. But what I hope happens is Ryan Day figure things out. I think Ryan Day's a good person, a good human being. I don't think that there's a person out there that would say Ryan Day's a bad person. If you do, I'd like to get an example, because the things I've heard from Ryan Day when he's speaking and the foundations and the donations him and his wife have been a part of, I think Ryan Day's generally a good person, which is why sometimes dealing with Ryan Day right now is a little bit difficult, because I don't want Ryan Day to lose his job. I don't want Ryan Day to get fired. I've been fired, man. That stuff sucks. It's not good. It's not fun. But Ryan Day is a guy that moving forward can figure everything out, tap into Tressel, tap into Urban Meyer, call them old coaches, call your coaching buddies. You got Chip Kelly, a guy you trust with your life on the coaching staff with you. You got all these people in your corner. Use them. Not just former coaches, use former Buckeye players. Because if you go on Twitter, Johnny Dixon, Craig Krenzel, C. Grant, Tyvis Powell, Dustin Fox, all these guys are chomping at the bit to help the program. They're fed up with what's going on, losing to the team up north that's not great. They want to figure out what's going on and to change it. Now, it's different than a couple years ago where they were like, man, we need to go to the Woody and set these guys straight. No, this year, it's just tough to watch. Reminds me of the U. All those former Hurricane greats flocked to Coral Gables in the offseason to work with those boys and to get those boys right. I know Bobby Carpenter is almost like they're living there, not literally, but he's there in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center all the time. And I hope former players have to work with these young guys and saying, hey, man, look, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how your mindset's supposed to be in this game. The game, we want it. We got gold pants. You want a pair of gold pants? Follow my lead. And I surely hope those older guys, those former players, help the current players. And I hope some of those former coaches help Ryan Day as they controls his own destiny. I hope they help him figure some things out to be a better coach at the Ohio State University. One thing that'll help Ryan Day be a better coach is him capitalizing on guys in the portal. And there's one guy in particular that played in the Big Ten this year that Ohio State is heavily pursuing, and it'll be in Columbus today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And maybe you're a Buckeye fan trying to put your money on the Buckeyes in the playoff. The Buckeyes are currently 7.5-point favorites over Tennessee in their first-round playoff game. The Buckeyes are the over-under for that game is 46.5. The Buckeyes currently have the third best odds from the national championship at plus 500. All the action at FanDuel goes down in two places on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing Ohio State is desperately trying to do is use the portal to their advantage and make sure when they tap into the portal, they go out there and try to snag linemen, snag linebackers, snag a quarterback, or snag a couple guys in the secondary, snag them quickly so nobody else can get them. And the Buckeyes are heavily pursuing a wanted man in former Northwestern offensive lineman Josh Thompson. He is scheduled to be in Ohio State today. Josh Thompson earlier this week was at Michigan State on Tuesday. He was at Auburn on Wednesday, a day in between that Auburn visit and him coming to Columbus. I am sitting here telling you this about Josh Thompson. He would provide an immediate impact at Ohio State and fill a big, massive gap at Ohio State as well. A day ago, Dylan Finneman, hey, go out there and get that boy from Purdue. Back-to-back years of over 100 tackles, former Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Bring him into Columbus. He'll be a great running mate with Caleb Downs. When you think about what Ohio State's losing on the offensive line in the upcoming year, it's pretty staggering, and it's not great. Josh Simmons, gone. Donovan Jackson, gone. Seth McLaughlin, gone. Josh Frye, gone. It's 4 of your 5 original starting offensive linemen this year are gone. The right guard spot that has been mainly held down by Tegra Shabola is one that I don't think Tegra has held down right now, even in going into the offseason. If the offseason was starting right now, Tegra Shabola, I'm not penciling him in to be the starting right guard in 2025. So you have both guard spots open and a center spot. I don't know where they're going to put Carson Hinchman, but I think another offseason in Columbus, Carson Hinchman is going to start next year. May it be at center, may it be with one of the guard spots. I don't know, but I think Carson Hinchman is going to start. No matter where he starts, there's at least going to be one other guard spot open. Josh Thompson could come in and fill that hole immediately, and that's exactly what you want. Now, the one thing with Josh Thompson is he has 1 season of eligibility remaining. He earned an honorable mention All Big Ten honor this past season. In his career at Northwestern, he's played in 31 games, made 21 starts, seeing time at left guard, right guard, and even right tackle. He stands at about 6'5", 301 pounds. So I'm not truly thinking that he is going to be a guy that's going to be a tackle at Ohio State just simply by the mass. I'm not thinking he's going to gain 10 to 15 pounds in the offseason to make him a tackle. But if that's what Mickey Mariotti, Justin Frye, and Ryan Day want, go for it. Me personally, I think he is better suited. He fits better on the Buckeyes offensive line if he plays guard. Put him at left guard. Put him at right guard. Whichever one it is, put him there and let him rock. It's kind of what you need to do. Let the man figure out his position, put him in a spot, just let him roll. We saw with Sonny Styles this year. Sonny Styles early in the year when he was moving from the safety spot from a year ago to linebacker. Then all of a sudden they're trying to have him practice at one linebacker spot, then another. It's tough, man. Made it very, very, very hard for Sonny Styles to get his feet under him early in the year. But once he got that traction on the field, we saw the growth that Sonny Styles had right before our eyes as the Buckeyes realized this young man can lead our defense. And I even believe he had that C2P sticker on the back of his helmet, the coach-to-player communication. I believe he was the guy calling those defensive plays, getting that communication from Jim Knowles. What does that mean about the young man? Cody Simon's Block O, the most tenured linebacker in the room. And Sonny Styles grew that much that he was the one calling the shots at Ohio State. That says a lot about him. It would also say a lot about him for Josh Thompson if he committed to Ohio State, because that's one massive answer we get about the Buckeyes offensive line. Because going into next year, I can kind of only pencil in one or two guys and say they're definitely going to start. Do I think Luke Montgomery or Josh Padilla could start next year? Yes. However, I don't know where. I think Padilla is probably better at center, put Hinsman at guard. Cool. I'm cool with that. I think it's great. If Thompson commits, put him at the other guard spot. Cool. The issue is tackles. And the tackle depth is lacking right now. And notice it's not a Zen Mahalski thing, just in general. If any school loses 2 tackles, you're going to be hurting. But also your depth and your development is going to be exposed if 2 tackles go down and you have to move your guard, your starting left guard, to tackle because the other guys in the room just aren't developed enough to do that. On the flip side, on that same conversation, if you have to go down to your third to offensive tackle, he's probably not ready to play, not let alone start. So Ohio State was in a very weird spot this year, and I think going into next year, while Thompson's a guard, Ohio State's going to go after 3, 4, 5 tackles. You're not going to land them all, but you're going to heavily pursue and bring the house. We used this connection to EA Sports College Football recently about when you're recruiting in the game. There are 4 main things you can do while recruiting before the soft sell and the hard sell in the recruiting process. There is search social media, that's 5 hours. There's DM the player, that's 10 hours. There's contact family and friends, that's 25 hours. Then there's bring the house, that's 50 hours. My philosophy, bring the house first and then do some other things second, because that's going to tell that guy when you're bringing the house first, hey, we want you bad. We are trying to do everything we can right now to get you. And that's what Ohio State has to do with Josh Thompson. Bring the house now. Wow him so much that he is so compelled by your pitch and his role, his future role on the team, that all he is going to do is say, I am playing here next year. I'm forsaking everything else. Because that's what you need from this guy. You know Northwestern offensive linemen are disciplined. They're good. They know their role. They're smart. They can handle multiple things. And you want to bring him into a room that has massive holes, he could also be a leader. Bringing Josh Thompson in, there are so many massive benefits to this young man coming into Columbus, which is why today is a massive day for Justin Frye, for Ryan Day, for Chip Kelly. Do you trust Justin Frye to close the deal? I'm not answering that question. That's for you to answer, because I think that's the biggest thing that we wonder right now. Ryan Day is a good recruiter, great recruiter. Chip Kelly can't recruit. Justin Frye, regardless of what's happened previously, this is the time for him to show everybody and their mama that he can recruit and he's getting better on the recruiting trail. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to share my thoughts about Justin Frye. No, you know me better than that. I do think Justin Frye needs to become a better recruiter. Absolutely. A better recruiter and a better developer of talent. Has he developed guys? Yes. Has he recruited some guys? Yes. Have there been massive misses on guys that Ohio State would normally get? Yes. Has there been a lack of development at certain positions? Absolutely, yes. So yes, I am going to say that Justin Frye, he can develop guys. He can recruit. But is he doing both at the level that he needs to be doing it at Ohio State? Absolutely not. He hasn't gotten the job done. That was the past. Let's look forward and realize he can start turning over a new leaf and getting that thing done right now. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go ahead and tap into the Locked On Big Ten podcast, because my guy, Craig Sheeman, is a guy that puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Feel Good Friday, on a Freaky Friday the 13th. We'll see you next time.